Once upon a time, in a peaceful African village surrounded by tall palm trees and winding dusty paths, there lived a cheerful miniature girl named Tina. The village was small but full of life. Clay houses with thatched roofs stood close together, and smoke from tiny kitchens slowly rose into the morning sky. Every morning the sound of birds filled the air as the warm, golden sun rose above the village. Among all the villagers, Tina was known for one special thing. She loved to cook. Tina owned a tiny kitchen made of clay and wood near the edge of the village. Even though the kitchen was very small, wonderful meals were always prepared inside it. People from all around the village often said that Tina's food had a magical way of bringing smiles to everyone's faces. One bright morning, Tina stepped outside her tiny kitchen and looked toward the village road. The sun was shining gently, and the wind carried the fresh smell of the nearby farms. But as she stood there, she noticed something unusual. A group of hardworking villagers were returning from the farms much earlier than expected. Their clothes were dusty, their faces looked tired, and their stomachs were surely empty after working since dawn. Tina watched them carefully and felt a wave of kindness in her heart. She knew how hard they worked every day to grow food for the village. "These workers must be very hungry," she said softly. Tina placed her hands on her hips and smiled thoughtfully. "I think today I should cook something special for them." She quickly walked back into her tiny kitchen and began searching for ingredients. Inside a woven basket on the wooden table were several fresh yams, bright red tomatoes, onions, peppers, and a basket of eggs. The moment Tina saw the ingredients, her eyes sparkled with excitement. "Perfect," she said happily. "Today, I will cook a huge pot of yam and egg sauce." Tina picked up a large yam from the basket and placed it carefully on the wooden cutting board. With her small sharp knife, she began peeling the thick brown skin. Piece by piece, the yam was peeled until the smooth white surface appeared underneath. She then cut the yam into big chunky pieces and placed them gently into a clay pot filled with fresh water. Soon the pot was sitting on top of her tiny charcoal stove. Tina carefully lit the charcoal fire. At first the charcoal glowed softly, but soon the flames grew stronger and the water inside the pot began to warm. Slowly, small bubbles appeared as the yam pieces started boiling. Steam rose gently from the pot, filling the tiny kitchen with warmth. While the yam was cooking, Tina turned her attention to preparing the egg sauce. She reached for the fresh tomatoes, onions, and red peppers sitting on the table. Using her knife, she chopped them into small colorful pieces. The red tomatoes, bright peppers, and white onions made the kitchen look lively and beautiful. Next, Tina placed a frying pan on the charcoal stove and poured a little cooking oil into it. The oil warmed quickly. She added the chopped onions first. The onions began to sizzle softly, releasing a sweet aroma into the air. Then she added the tomatoes and peppers. The mixture bubbled gently as the vegetables cooked together. The delicious smell quickly spread throughout the tiny kitchen. Tina smiled proudly. "This sauce is going to taste wonderful," she said. Then she picked up the basket of eggs. One by one, she cracked the eggs into the bubbling tomato mixture. The eggs blended perfectly with the tomatoes, onions, and peppers, creating a rich and colorful egg sauce. She stirred the mixture slowly with a wooden spoon, making sure everything cooked evenly. Meanwhile, the yam pieces inside the clay pot had become soft and fluffy. Steam rose from the pot as the yam finished boiling. Tina carefully lifted the pot off the stove and drained the water. She placed the warm boiled yam onto a large wooden plate. The white yam looked soft, warm, and delicious. Back in the frying pan, the egg sauce had thickened beautifully. The golden eggs mixed with the red tomatoes and bright peppers created a colorful and mouth-watering dish. Tina added a small pinch of salt and stirred the sauce one final time. Just as she finished cooking, something amazing happened. The wonderful smell of yam and egg sauce began drifting out of the tiny kitchen and into the village. The hungry workers, walking along the dusty path, suddenly stopped. One of them lifted his head and sniffed the air. "Wait. Do you smell that?" he asked. Another worker smiled widely. "That smells like Tina's cooking." Soon the delicious aroma guided them straight toward the tiny kitchen. Inside, Tina was already arranging the food neatly on a large wooden tray. She placed the warm boiled yam beside the rich egg sauce. The colors looked beautiful together. Soft white yam beside bright red egg sauce. Just then, the villagers arrived at the kitchen doorway. Their eyes widened with excitement when they saw the delicious meal. "Tina," one of them said happily, "this looks amazing." Tina laughed kindly and welcomed them inside. "Please come in," she said warmly. "There is enough food for everyone." The villagers gathered around and sat down together. Tina began serving generous portions of the warm yam and egg sauce. Soon everyone was eating happily. The yam was soft and fluffy, and the egg sauce was rich and full of flavor. Laughter and conversation filled the tiny kitchen. Tina watched quietly as everyone enjoyed the meal she had prepared. Seeing the villagers happy made her heart feel warm and proud. As the sun climbed higher into the sky, the little village became lively again. And inside the tiny clay kitchen, Tina smiled gently as she cleaned her cooking tools. Because for Tina, cooking was not just about making food. It was about sharing kindness, bringing people together, and filling the village with happiness. And everyone knew that whenever they smelled delicious food drifting through the air, it meant Tina was cooking another wonderful meal in her tiny kitchen.